Welcome to the Rosenhaus podcast. Today, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jason Rosenhaus, who's been a NFL agent, an MLB agent for over 30 years now. Jason, what is one thing people should keep in mind in school if they're interested in joining that industry?
Okay. If you want to be a sports agent and you're in high school right now, you have to have a vision. You have to have a plan. You have to have a way to distinguish yourself to say, this is why you, as an established agency, should hire me to come on board. You have to bring something special to the table. And to do that, you need training. And the ultimate training to becoming a sports agent is going to college where you work extremely hard to establish yourself as an outstanding student with an outstanding work ethic that will outwork anybody. And then number two, going to law school. In my opinion, when you go to college, you establish yourself as book smart, someone who can very competently read, absorb, analyze important information, documentation, and put together an effective argument. Then, that's what makes you disciplined. That's what makes you reliable. That's what makes you book smart. But the most feared people in the world are actually lawyers. No one ever trusts a lawyer blindly to do business with, right? So lawyers, when you go to law school, you get training on how to be street smart, how to be business smart, how to be savvy, how to legally win a deal, how to legally win a battle, right? So when you go to law school, you become a street smart guy that's feared and respected. So when you have that kind of academic and professional training, you are uniquely suited to be able to go ahead and succeed at the task at hand, right? So, in my opinion, having a plan and saying, you know what, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to get straight A's, I'm going to distinguish myself as a competitor. Your arena is now getting straight A's. Your arena is having the best work ethic in your college and your law school. So you now compete in that venue, right? And when you establish yourself as the hardest worker, when you establish yourself as an absolute competitor, you have a work ethic, you have respect. People want that more than anything. They always respect hard workers. So regarding the issue of being a high school student with the ambition of becoming a sports agent, it's all about a plan and about a vision. While other kids are focusing on other distractions, whether it's all the wrong things of drinking, smoking, doing this, doing that, you want to be a guy getting ahead. You want to be the one who's focused on business. You want to be the one who's just competing already. Let the other people screw up and do this and do that and not be focused. You be the guy who's focused. You be the absolute warrior in your field. So when you're in high school and you have a vision, hey, I'm going to be the most disciplined, dedicated, hardworking student. And why is that important? I'll tell you that. Because whether it's an NFL player or any professional athlete, when they come to you and want you to represent them, they're trusting you with their once in a lifetime opportunity of negotiating their contracts and helping guide them throughout their professional career. By the time you step into that role, you are being entrusted with the most important opportunity of their lifetime. And they're counting on you to get it right. The sacrifices that they've made, that their parents have made, that their families made, everything they've endured, all the hardships, all the struggles, all the adversity to get to this point where you're that 1 in a million player who has a shot for a huge contract and have generational wealth. There's a small window, and you have to seize it while you can. And to know how to accomplish that as an agent, you have to be sharp. You have to be the best at what you do. And to be sharp, to be the best at what you do, you have to be the hardest working. There's a lot of smart people out there, but they're underachievers and they don't get it right because they're not the hardest worker. So when you become the person who's best trained, the person who's best focused, the person who is most determined, and when you're that guy or that woman who has it all, has training, the focus, the work ethic, you become the best person for the job. And that's why it starts with school. Because if you can demonstrate that you're a straight A student in high school, you're demonstrating you have discipline, you have dedication, you have focus, and you have determination, the ability to succeed in an adverse situation. You know, each class is different, each teacher is different, each test is different, each subject is different. When you have the mental toughness and the discipline to succeed at that level, that demonstrates that you've got what it takes to go to the next level. And then when you do that in college, you're making your mind very, very sharp, where you're book smart and reading various documentation and able to digest all of it. And to learn how to write, learn how to, read, write, do math, all this stuff. It's the ultimate way to go. You got it. So that's what college does for you. And then when you go to law school, you become next level. You know, lawyers, as I was saying earlier when we were talking, lawyers are feared because you know if you turn your back on them, they will find a way to get you. That you have to carefully double check, read everything that they put down on paper because there will be loopholes and you better find them or they'll be used against you. So the idea of law school is you are amongst the best students in the country. You're all competing to see who's the hardest worker, who's got the best legal mind, who can digest the material, read the fact pattern, and come up with the best legal arguments. There's room for creativity, problem solving. And when you do that in law school, and if you excel in law school, you are an absolute killer. At that point, you are ready to tackle problems. You're street smart, you're business smart, you're savvy, you're hungry, you are ready. So the plan is dominate in high school academically, show everybody you're a hard worker, you're competent, you can be relied upon to have the single most important thing, which is consistency. Some people can work hard one day and then not the next day, right? When you are consistent, you are disciplined, you are dedicated, you are focused. That's the difference between success and failure at an elite level. The discipline, the consistency. When you can do it day in and day out, you separate yourself from everybody else. And when you can get straight A's in school, you're showing consistency. So at this point, you know, if I'm an established agent and I'm looking to hire somebody, I want someone who I can trust to be a hard worker, who I can trust to get the job done, who has demonstrated a high level of competence, creativity, and problem solving. And most of all, the work ethic. The number one thing I want in someone is I don't want some wicked smart guy who's not going to work. I'll take a street smart guy who's going to outwork everybody. That's who I'm looking for if I'm an agent looking to hire somebody. So, the key to being a high school student who wants to be a sports agent is build your work ethic. You know, mental toughness is the ability to do things you don't want to do. No one wants to study all day, every day on a consistent basis. No one wants to do that except hungry people who are determined to establish that they are truly elite. You know, That's the type of consistency, that's the type of work ethic that produces success. So, that's what I want to see in a high school student, someone who's willing to apply himself and demonstrate a phenomenal track record of hard work. So that's my advice. You can't solve everything and have, a plan from A to Z, but you can have a plan for the next 5, 6 years. And then once you're in college, this is a very unique time because, the collegiate sports world and now the high school sports world have changed dramatically. It's been a revolutionary change to college and now high school, and that's called name, image, likeness, NIL. With NIL for the first time in the history of college sports and now, high school sports, collegiate athletes and high school athletes can get paid for their name, image, and likeness, for their marketing. Schools, through the collective, are paying players hundreds of thousands, and even some are getting millions of dollars to go to that college. And it's a new world where every year in college, the college student athletes, they renegotiate how much their amount of compensation is going to be. They have the ability to enter the transfer portal and go to another school that could pay them more money, or just provide a better opportunity. So, since 2021, everything has changed in collegiate sports, and now high school sports is opening up to NIL, and that's going to allow high school kids to get paid as well. So it's a very exciting time. And if you're a high school student or a college student, you can get into the game. All right. You can find marketing deals, right? You can become a marketing agent where you find marketing deals by picking up the phone and just opening up the phone book, so to speak, the old Rolodex, so to speak. It's a bit old school.
There's more opportunity.
Exactly. So you can find deals for college kids and high school kids and approach them with it. Now, to do that, you have to be registered with the state as an athlete agent, but that's just a matter of submitting paperwork. It's not strenuous. It's not vigorous regulation in that regard to become registered. And there's not a lot of regulation going on. The NCAA has not put forth clear, finite rules about what type of NIL deals players can and cannot do. It's kind of the wild, wild west right now as far as what guys can and cannot do from an NIL standpoint. So, there's just opportunity galore for anyone who wants to be an agent, whether you're in high school or in college, to go ahead right now and try and find deals for college players. So this is an unprecedented time of opportunity where even if you're not a certified agent yet, there's nothing stopping a high school kid or a college kid from going out and finding NIL deals. So, to show some entrepreneurial spirit and impress and build a relationship. And there's nothing that's going to get you hired faster by an agency to become a sports agent than if you have relationships. So if you're out there doing deals that are attractive to top rated college players and high school players, and you have this relationship with them, that's going to show a potential agent employer, hey, this youngster can do it, and it's a way to distinguish yourself as to why an agency should hire you, as opposed to, the thousands of other Ivy League law school graduates who approach you.
That's very cool. So, Jason, you mentioned a few changes. What are some other changes that you've seen being in the NFL for over 30 years now? How has it evolved, changed?
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting. Um, if you want to be a sports agent, you should see the movie Jerry Maguire, which Tom
Watch that one.
Cruise
It's great.
stars. Fantastic movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. It came out in the mid '90s, and so the movie is it's an old movie, but it's an all time classic. It's great on many levels in respect, but it shows you what the sports agent business was like in the 1990s. And what you had then was Jerry Maguire was part of a large agency at the beginning, and ultimately he wanted to go out on his own, and he was pushed out. He was technically fired, but he made the move to start his own small firm, and he competed, as a pretty much where it was just him, as the agent, and it was a small agency that would focus on personal attention, providing one-on-one, hands-on service for your clients, and being small, so you could focus on a very high level, to provide individual one-on-one attention. And since that time, where the majority of agents were sole proprietorships operating on their own, a lot, that has changed. Where now, just like everything else with the way of the world, big eats small. You have big corporations who come in and have forced out the smaller agencies. My brother Drew and I were pretty much the last of the Mohegans, where our company, which was just started, by us, it's just a family business of two brothers. We're the last of the big successful agencies that are not a massive multinational company representing multiple professions, multiple industries. We're just football and baseball, and we're still. It still says Rosenhaus Sports. It's not a company where we've switched, where we've sold and switched firms over and over and over again to be part of a huge, massive international or national company. Now, we still represent 100 NFL guys and a good amount of MLB players, but we're the same as we were. Now, to keep up with the business, we've hired great people to work around us. We have several other NFL agents who are great guys, like Robert Bailey and Ryan Matha, Kyle Lincoln, Sean O'Dare, guys Connor Salter, who work in our firm as certified NFL agents. And we have several baseball agents as well, like Dennis Wyrick, Ty Smith, and, I mentioned Connor Salter and Kyle Lincoln, who are also certified with the MLB as agents. So, and we have a massive marketing team. So we've had to adapt and adjust, where instead of just being me and Drew, we're working out of our, little small apartment. It's now we're a big company, but we're still run like a small company, where it's just us as the top management. We don't work for anyone else. We don't answer to a board of directors. We're able to operate in the manner that we think is best to provide the most effective representation and always operate in our client's best interests. And when you don't have to answer to a bottom line of a board of directors, when you have the financial freedom to operate how you think is uniquely suited for your business, it's a fantastic way to go. So the biggest change I've seen is our competitors went from being other individuals operating to competing against all those guys now work for the competition, who are big, large companies. And so that's a huge change. And I mentioned earlier, NIL. It used to be we would recruit college juniors and seniors. who are getting ready for the draft. Now we're recruiting college freshmen and college sophomores to handle their NIL, and now we're going to be doing the same with high school kids. Now that high school is coming to, embrace the world of NIL. So, those are massive changes where we're recruiting younger kids and we represent them from a marketing standpoint to build the relationship while they're in high school and college. So it's a big change and a big adjustment. It's one word, man: family. You know, when I was younger than you, it started when when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, my dad somehow was friendly with Miami Dolphin football players, and he'd bring them over for dinner. And my brother Drew and I would have dinner with these guys who looked like real life superheroes sitting at our dinner table.
That's
And
crazy.
then on a Friday night, and then on Sundays, we're watching them play football for the Miami Dolphins. And so, early on, we looked up to these players as real life superheroes, and we just had a tremendous amount of respect for their toughness, their success, their ability to compete, and what just looked like the toughest arena in the world, and the most exciting being the NFL. So when Drew and I got to college at the University of Miami, we had so much respect for football players that it was just our natural evolution to be friends with guys like Michael Irvin, Brett Perriman, Brian Blades, Jimmy Jones, Bernard Clark, guys at the University of Miami, Robert Bailey, who really helped us see that we should become agents. And by helping them with their homework, helping them study for tests, and, just helping them with their school, we saw we just had this natural ability to build a rapport. And, we loved these guys. They were our best friends. And we saw how agents were ripping players off. And, I never understood that. It didn't sit right with me. I wanted to be in a business where the better job you did for your best friend who gave you an incredible opportunity, the better job you do for yourself, for your family. So when I looked at the NFL agent business, you see how in some investment businesses, a broker makes a much bigger commission selling an investment that's not as good as the product that produces very little commission. And I did not like that business model, that inherent conflict of interest. And I loved the NFL agent business because if you did a great job for your client and you got them a great contract and you worked hard, they would recommend you to their friends, and the better job you did for them, the better job you did for yourself. So it's like a big family.
So, Jason, is there anything which is giving you that drive?
So as far as what motivates me on a daily basis, it's, as I said before, it's all about family. Started off, my brother and I, we were motivated by our dad, where our dad was friendly with Dolphin players, and he'd bring them to the house, and it was just incredible to have dinner with these guys in our home and then watch them play on TV with the Miami Dolphins on a Sunday. It was unbelievable. And so early on, our dad's influence was very big. And then when I got to college, my brother had the plan that we were going to work together as a team to represent football players. And, that was the greatest thing in the world for me. I thought maybe I was going to become a doctor, maybe I was going to become a lawyer. But, Drew had the vision, he had the plan, and it just was a dream come true to be able to work with your brother for me. My brother was my best friend. I was closer to him than anyone in the world. And, for me to work with my brother, to work with my family as a team, I felt like the two of us can just jump into any rumble and kick anyone's ass together in a business standpoint, of course. And I just had the ultimate confidence teaming up with them. I was never afraid that we were not going to be successful. My mind never thought that. I only could think of how to be more successful. So early on, it was my dad. Then it was working with my brother. And now, that you're married, you have kids, your wife, your children, that is 24/7 daily motivation to succeed for them. You gotta come through for your family that depends on you. So all day, every day, my motivation is to win for my family, win for my daughter Aubrey, my two boys Bronson and Colton, of course, my wife Casey. We're a very happy group, and it's the work that allows us to be in a position to be happy. So that's why I grind each and every day, so they can have a great life. That's what works for me.
It's amazing. It's great to hear.
Yep. And by the way, there's one other family member who was very instrumental and very inspirational. As a kid who grew up in Miami, I would go to New York during the winter holidays. And I would walk around the streets of Manhattan with Jason Rosenhaus. And I was just a kid.
The one and only.
Yep. And I would look at my Uncle Rich and see the picture of success. Someone who worked in the toughest city in the world of New York City, who had a real tough job and found a way to win. He had a saying called beating the system. And, I learned from him, the name of the game is to beat the system, to outwork and outsmart everybody to win. And Uncle Rich, he represented success to me when I was a boy. I looked at him and I saw success and I wanted that. And Uncle Rich, he was a big, big mentor for my brother and I to want to be successful. He was a part of that motivation and being a youngster and identifying what you wanted in life. We looked at him and we saw success and we wanted success. We weren't just looking, hey, what's a fun thing to do this weekend or let's play video games. No, it was, hey, how can we be successful? What do we need to do? What's the plan? It was always about that and never about what all the other kids were thinking and doing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Jason, what is one thing that anyone who wants to be a sports agent, what's one piece of advice people can take away from this podcast?
The advice. My brother Drew, who's very successful, very established in his mid-50s, he's a nationally known, respected sports agent. And on Friday, he was in Tennessee. I'm sorry, on Friday, he was in New Orleans. On Saturday, he was in Tennessee. On Sunday, he was in Las Vegas. On Monday, he was in Minneapolis dealing with flight delays, flight cancellation. On Tuesday, we went to Seattle and we caught the red eye home last night. We don't fly private jets. Sometimes it's first class. Sometimes it's a coach middle seat. Sleeping in hotels. Drew loves being home with his wife and kids who are so happy to be with him. And yet he is, even at this level of success, he is still the hardest worker in our business. So if there's one thing that I would impart to anyone interested in becoming a sports agent, it's everybody wants to be a sports agent who likes sports and all that, but not everybody's willing to work. And if you're not willing to work right now at whatever you're doing, if you're in junior high school or senior high school, if you're not willing, Drew answers the test every single day. Are you hungry today? Are you tough enough to get up at 5 a.m. to catch this flight? Are you tough enough to go to this city, to this meeting? Are you tough enough to do this grind day in and day out? And if you're not tough enough in junior high school to answer that same challenge of doing your homework, of, going to practice in whatever sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, or karate, boxing, wrestling, jujitsu, any of that. If you're tough enough to apply yourself and work hard every day in junior high or high school, then you're tough enough to be an agent. And if you're tough enough to grind today, you're tough enough to grind tomorrow. And it's all about today. I don't care what you did yesterday, but if you are willing to grind today and then answer the test tomorrow, then you can become a sports agent. And never let anybody tell you you can't do it. Never let anyone tell you you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. I respect what your dad did. Your dad saw an opportunity to, leave the United States, go to London, and build a business. As an entrepreneur, that took a lot of risk and a lot of courage to make that major move. And your dad did that, and I respect that. So, your dad was faced with a challenge, and he answered the challenge successfully. And it doesn't matter if you want to be a sports agent, a doctor, a policeman, a fireman, an architect, a lawyer. It's all about answering the test each and every day. Are you tough enough to go work out today? Are you tough enough to wake up on time? Are you tough enough to do your assignment? Are you tough enough to just do what you know you should do? Or are you just going to watch TV on the couch and play video games all day? Most people aren't tough enough. Most people can't do it, or they do it one day but not the other day. But you got to take it one day at a time and just start with today. That's what I would say. Start with today. Answer the test. Answer the challenge. Give it your best. That's what it's about.
Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the Rosenhaus podcast.
It's my pleasure, my privilege to be on the Rosenhaus podcast with Irving Rosenhaus.